You've thought about it more than you've told anyone. Maybe it hits you at 3 a.m. Maybe it's in the middle of something completely ordinary. I need a meal, a commute, a conversation. And suddenly you're just aware, really aware, that this ends, that you end, and the people around you seem fine, like they're not carrying the same thing, like you missed the class where everyone else made peace with it. Here's what nobody tells you. You didn't miss anything. A 2019 study published in the journal Motivation and Emotion found that people who think about death frequently score significantly higher on measures of meaning, curiosity, and engagement with life than those who avoid the thought entirely. The people who can't stop pulling this thread are not the most anxious. They're often the most awake. So the question isn't what's wrong with you. The question is, why does something that's clearly worth thinking about make you feel like you're broken for thinking about it? There's a word psychologists use for the fear of death: thanatophobia. They classified it as an anxiety disorder. But here's the thing. The researchers who study thanatophobia have found that the people who think about death most frequently are not the most anxious people. They're often the most intellectually alive. Ernest Becker, who won a Pulitzer Prize for his book The Denial of Death, made a radical argument that virtually everything humans build, culture, religion, legacy, ambition, is an unconscious response to the awareness that we're going to die. Every monument, every empire, every Instagram post. Most people deal with this awareness by burying it, staying busy, staying distracted. The people who think about death more than they admit, they just can't bury it as easily. Their mind keeps pulling the thread. That's not a disorder, that's a thread being worth pulling. But there's something underneath this fear that rarely gets named. It's not really, I don't want to die. It's something closer to, why do I have to? Why has evolution designed living things to expire if survival is the whole point? If the gene just wants to replicate itself and persist, why build in an expiry date at all? Richard Dawkins answers this in his book, The Selfish Gene, and the answer is rather uncomfortable. You are not the point. Your genes are. Your body is just a vehicle for your genes to protect themselves from dangers of outside world and to move around. And once the vehicle has reproduced, once the genes have copied themselves forward, the vehicle becomes expendable. Evolution has no loyalty to you personally, only to the information inside you. That should make you angry. And I think for a lot of people who think about death more than they admit, it does. So, here's where it gets interesting. There's a shark swimming in the North Atlantic right now that was born before the French Revolution, before the Industrial Revolution, even before the invention of electricity. The Greenland Shark. It lives up to 400 years, possibly longer. We don't actually know the upper limit yet. For most of its life, it moves at less than 1 mile per hour. Scientists call it the sleeper shark. It is, by most measures, one of the least impressive animals in the ocean. But why does it live 400 years and we live 80? Well, here's the answer. And this is the part that should change how you think about your own body. The Greenland shark doesn't reach sexual maturity until it's around 150 years old. Remember what we just said? Evolution only cares about reproduction. The selfish gene keeps the vehicle alive until it reproduces. After that, the vehicle is expendable. The Greenland shark's genes think reproduction happens at 150. So they keep the body running for 150 years minimum just to get there. Our genes think reproduction happens at 18. That's it. That's the whole difference between 80 years and 400 years. How are the genes keeping track of this sexual maturity age? I don't think we have solved this yet, but ask yourself, what happens if we're able to change this number? For most of human history, death was treated as a fact to be accepted. Every major religion built its entire architecture around making peace with it. Every philosopher from the Stoics to the Buddhists said some version of the same thing: let go. Marcus Aurelius in Meditations wrote about death almost every day. He practiced what the Stoics called memento mori. Remember that you will die, not to become morbid, but to become present in your daily life. There's real wisdom in that. Accepting mortality makes you stop wasting the life you do have. But there's a difference between making peace with death and deciding death is inevitable. Because here's what the Stoics didn't have: CRISPR, gene sequencing, the ability to read and edit the code in our DNA. But wait, it's not about extending Homo sapien longevity, is it? It's about extending your longevity, delaying your death. I can hear you say, but Enoch, what about my mortality? Well, let me be honest with you. As of now, a person who is 25-year-old probably will die at age of 80, and they will miss, by a matter of decades, the generation of humans who figured it out, who looked at death the way we look at smallpox, a thing that used to kill people before the future humans decided it didn't have to. This feeling you have, this jealousy toward future humans who might live indefinitely, this is not irrational. That's you doing the math correctly. Aubrey de Grey, one of the most prominent longevity researchers alive, doesn't talk about death as a fact. He talks about it as an engineering problem, accumulated damage, he calls it. And his argument is simple. If you can repair the cell damage faster than it accumulates, aging stops. We are the first generation of humans where this is not science fiction. That's pretty exciting, isn't it? Now the question is no longer, can we do this? The question is, will you live long enough to see it? So what do you do with all of this? The Buddhist answer is, be here now. The Stoic answer is, amor fati, love your fate. The scientific answer is, we're looking into it. All three are actually compatible and not far from the truth. You can accept that you will probably die, while also believing that the next humans who come after you might not have to. You can practice presence the way Marcus did, while also caring about what science does in the next 50 years. The people who think about death more than they admit are not broken, they're not morbid, they're not depressed. They just haven't accepted a premise that nobody actually asked them to accept. And that refusal, that quiet, persistent why, is not a symptom. It might be exactly the right question. Rather than asking how much time we have left, we can ask, why do we even have to die at the first place? In the end, I just want to say this: stop worrying about death and start treating it like a problem to be solved. We have solved smallpox. We have solved the Black Plague. We have beaten cancers that entire generations of doctors considered a death sentence. Every single time, the people who solved it were the ones who refused to accept that it was unsolvable. And technically, we don't even die of old age. That's not a real cause of death. We die because our cells stop making perfect copies of themselves after a certain age. That's it, that's the whole problem, a copying error. And copying errors are an engineering problem, not a philosophical one. The tragedy isn't that we're going to die. The tragedy is that we are spending our one shot at existence on endless wars, political arguments, and chasing numbers in a bank account, while the one problem that actually matters sits in a lab somewhere, underfunded. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And it's a matter of whether enough people decide it's worth caring about before their time runs out.